Today we're going to be focusing on the lower back, which is a super common cause of pain for people. So the first thing we're going to do is we'll use a block, or you can use your fingers or a book or a water bottle, just something to get into the deep hip flexor muscles. So we're going to lie down on our backs with our knees bent, and finding your navel, you're going to go about 2 inches beside the navel, and we're going to work parallel to the midline. I'm going to angle the block, so the edge of the block is what I'm going to be using, and going about 2 inches beside the navel, I'm moving the block in and downwards, and I'm moving it up and down. So I'm traveling along parallel to the spine below the navel, and I'm working those deep hip flexor muscles. So these muscles are really important to release when you have any lower back or mid back problems, because they attach these deep hip flexor muscles, the psoas muscles, attach to the sides of your lumbar spine. So when they're tight, they can pull the lumbar spine forward. Okay, so first, just starting by releasing, going up and down. We're going to do about a minute or two on each side. Okay, and then we'll go to the other side. So edge of the block, the corner of the block. Again, you can use your fingers if that makes more sense, or just something to get in there. So I'm starting at the navel as a reference point. I go about 2 inches beside, and we want to look around. You can kind of look around. So dig around a little bit. You'll know, because these muscles, that's what makes them tricky, is that they don't have sensory fibers for contraction. So we don't actually know that they're oftentimes the cause of our back pain until we start digging in there, because they do have sensory fibers for touch. So we can usually, we can feel them, and it's quite sensitive. So take your time, but do work to soften these muscles. Use your breath, go up and down, it's kind of like you're carving the inside of a boat. You want to make these muscles really soft and long. Okay. All right, you can always do longer, but I recommend at least a minute or two on each side. Okay, so the second thing we're going to do is using a blanket, a low lunge. So I've got my knee on the blanket, my toes are pointed back behind me, and the first thing I want to try to do is internally rotate my leg so my little toe comes down to the floor. That can be quite challenging. At the same time, I reach my big toe back, so I don't want to sickle in my ankle just to get my big toe down, or my little toe down. So my little toe is down, my upper thigh is internally rotated, my ankle is in, and then I'm going to do two things. I'm going to drive my hips forward, and at the same time, I'm going to lift the bottom of the belly up. So I don't want to arch my back here. I want to lift the bottom of the belly up, and I can push with my hands to take my lower belly off the front thigh. So I'm sitting up nice and tall. Think more up rather than back. Okay, if it's useful to take your arms up, you can take your arms up to give you more height. Okay, I'm going to take about 90 seconds here on each side. I'm dropping forward with my hips, at the same time elongating up through my spine. So I want to go deep into those hip flexor muscles. So the psoas and the iliacus that we just released attaches to the top of the inner thigh. So I'm stretching those muscles that we just released. Good. And then we go to the other side, the same thing. Point my toes, little toe on the ground, internally rotate the leg, lower belly up, pelvis forward. So I'm driving forward with my hips and coming up with my spine. Okay. Try not to overarch your back, because that's where the sides of the of those deep hip flexion muscles touch. I want to expand my lower back, taking my ribs in, lift the lower belly, lift the chest. It's helpful to take the arms up. You can take the arms up or use the hands on the front knee to push away. Use your breath, sink in deeper. Good. Okay, so you lie on your back. You're going to bend your right or your left knee. Right leg is straight. I'm taking my hands underneath my lower back, the palms facing down. Okay, and then I'm going to exhale all the air and I lift my head, shoulders, and upper back. I want to keep my curve in my lower back. So my hips are down, my head is up. And if it bothers the neck at all, you can always use your hand behind your head to lift your head. Okay, but we're trying to build this kind of feeling of bearing down, like we're creating intra-abdominal pressure. Okay, you can try to lift your elbows up off the floor so you're not pushing down on your elbows. Instead you're using this feeling of dropping the ribs and creating pressure in the core. Okay, and then we come down, we hold for about 30 seconds, switching legs, so right knee bends, left leg straight, exhale, lift the head, keep the curve in the lower back. So this configuration of the legs helps us to maintain the curve in the lower back. So I'm breathing, but the breaths will definitely be shorter. Okay, I'm creating this intra-abdominal pressure, building up strength in the core. It's really important for your lower back. Okay, and then we'll release, exhale. And the next one we're going to do, we're going to roll to our side for the side plank. So I'm bringing my knees in line with my hips, my head, and my shoulders. The elbow can be underneath or slightly in front of the shoulder. Okay. Then from here, I want to create that straight line and I'm inhaling up through my hips. If that's hard to do, I can stay low and I'm going to do a kind of a sideways banana or sideways crunch. Okay. And we'll do it with our breathing. So we're inhaling and we're exhaling. Inhaling, exhaling. Try to keep the line. Inhale, exhale. I inhale, exhale. And then I inhale up. I exhale my hand behind my head. I'm pushing the head back, keeping the ribs in, and I'm creating that nice line. Hips are forward. So from my head to my knees, I've got that nice straight line. Building up this strength in the obliques and the side body, the intercostals, and then release. And we switch to the other side. So knees in line with hips, shoulders, and head, everything in that straight line. So usually that means the knees have to go back, hips forward, ribs in, head back. Okay, so I'm kind of getting this feeling of stretching the front as I inhale up and then I exhale down. In, exhale, using your breath. Strengthening your side body. Out. In. Out. Inhale up. And then I take my hand behind my head. For feedback, I'm pushing back with my head. Ribs are in. Hips are forward. So I create that nice core line from the knees up to the head. Remember, you can always do it lying on your side. This kind of banana curl, side curl. It's doing the same thing if you don't want to put weight on your arms. Okay, and then we come down. Okay, so the last of the big three is the spinal extension, the bird dog. So I'm going to reach my left leg back and my right arm forward. I extend on the inhale, and then I exhale and bring the elbow and knee together. So I'm inhaling to extend, exhaling and together. In and out. Inhale, reach. Exhale, bend. Inhale, reach. Exhale, bend. Inhale, arch and extend. Exhale, bend. Inhale, reach. And then I release and I do the other side. So right leg, left arm, inhale, extend, and come together. And reach, and together. Reach, and together. Reach, and together. Inhale, exhale. 2 more. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, and exhale. So I like to learn it first at the wall. You're going to come about 6 inches from the wall, and then bit by bit you segment. You bring your chin, then your chest you pause, then your ribs you pause, your belly, your hips, and then off the wall. So you just try to work. At first it feels a bit mechanical. You pause at each section, just touching that section to the wall. And once you get good at that, you can make it a bit smoother. So it's chin, chest, ribs, belly, hips. So it becomes one smooth articulation. Then you can bring it off the wall. You imagine that the wall is still there, so you're thinking chin, chest, ribs, belly, hips. And you try to work either more statically, so you're just working each section, or a little smoother, so it becomes a bit more fluid, like a wave. Okay, so that's your lower back prescription for today. I hope it helps, and move well.